If you want a guaranteed way to make sure you are eating healthy, you need to master this simple system. Luckily, it is so easy, anyone can do it, and today I'm gonna show you how. If you're new here, I'm Maddie, and I'm here to help you with your vegan meal prep. And since I just had a baby, now more than ever, meal prep is like essential for us if we wanna eat healthy. So let's start by getting out everything that we're going to need for today's prep. We are gonna start with the foods that take the longest first. So I am going to be roasting potatoes and asparagus in the oven. So we will first need to preheat the oven, and then we'll just wash up those potatoes and asparagus so that we can get them ready to pop into the oven. Now that those are in the oven, we can go ahead and wash and chop our other items. Now, the order doesn't really matter here, but we do kind of want to focus on getting all of the washing and chopping done first before any other prep work, if there is any. So we're just going to go ahead and start by washing up some of our other veggies. And I'm just going to use this large basin here and wash a couple of these veggies together. You can wash all your veggies together if you want, or you can separate them, totally up to you. Now, how you chop these veggies, i.e. what kind of shape or size you chop them into, really depends on how you're going to be using them later. For example, I've already planned out to use the carrots for a soup, so I'm just kind of doing those into little bite-sized pieces. But if you wanted them for snacking on, then you would want to keep them in totally different shape. So like these cucumbers, for example, we're just going to leave in spears, and I'll just leave the tomatoes as is. Those are perfect as a little bite-sized snack. And the bell peppers will also go in the snack Tupperware. I might use some of them for cooking, but at least once they're washed and chopped a bit like this, they'll be easy to chop down further for when I'm ready to use them in a recipe. And I love these mini peppers because they don't have a lot of seeds. They're pretty easy just to pop off the tops and chop them up. Next, we'll wash our grapes. Now, with things like grapes and berries, I like to use a little bit of plain white vinegar in the washing water. It just helps to clean them a little bit more and also kill off any mold spores so that they do stay fresh a little bit longer. And then after the vinegar bath, do make sure you thoroughly rinse them off, and then we'll just set those aside to air dry a bit. For broccoli, I like to break apart the pieces before washing, so I just kind of break them as I'm putting them into the wash basin, and I just find that you can clean the broccoli more thoroughly that way, really get the water all the way through the head of broccoli, and really get each floret submerged that way, and it's just more thorough. Now, even though I broke them into small pieces already, I do like to chop them down even further so that they're ready to use in recipes, because I find that in full-size florets, they're a bit too big to be bite-sized. So today I'm going to chop them a bit further after washing. And you can also vary the sizes depending on what you're cooking, like I said. So for the ones that I'm chopping really small, I'm gonna be putting those into pasta sauce, but I do also wanna keep some florets a little bit larger because I plan to steam them. So we do want a little bit of variation. And again, that just depends on what you plan to use your veggies in. So it does kind of help to have a general plan of how you're going to use up these veggies and kind of know what you're going to be making that week. And that will just help you know what size to chop your veggies. For the mushrooms, a lot of people ask, why do I wash them? Is it okay to wash them? I don't know about you, but whenever I get mushrooms, they're always pretty dirty, and I've just found that doing the simple wipe down doesn't really get them clean enough. So I did a bit of research and found out that washing them actually does not affect them at all for texture or flavor once they're cooked. So now I always wash my mushrooms before I use them. I haven't found any difference at all, like no noticeable differences in flavor or texture. And of course, I just find that they're a lot cleaner that way. So I do give them a thorough rinse. It's a pretty quick rinse, maybe just a few seconds to wash off all the dirt, and then we're just going to chop them up and make sure you do let them air dry. And these will honestly keep in your fridge for about 5 to 7 days in a Tupperware. They keep really well. I mean, we'll probably use them up in a recipe before then, but I just wanted to share that so you're not afraid to wash your mushrooms. Do make sure they have a chance to air dry a bit before storing them in the fridge, and that will make sure they don't get soggy and they will stay fresher longer. The last two things we're going to wash is our watercress and our bok choy. The watercress, we don't need to chop or really do anything to it. We're just going to wash it. And then for the bok choy, my husband likes to cut these down because we have found that there's a lot of dirt and sand in between these little leaves and layers. So I've started just cutting them apart when I wash them, and that way we don't even need to use the cutting board. And of course, we'll let these air dry as well. And perfect timing because now our asparagus and potatoes are done roasting. And now we have our basic prep done. So like I said, I do usually have some kind of a plan before I start the washing and chopping process on how I'm going to use up these veggies throughout the week. If you want to see a video on how I do the planning part, make sure you check out this one. I'll also link it down below. But really just having this wash and chop done is going to help us out tremendously throughout the week. This really only takes about an hour to get done, so it's perfect for anyone who doesn't have a lot of time to prep, but who wants healthy options available throughout the week that are prepped and ready to use. I cannot stress that enough. If you open your fridge and you see those prepped veggies, you're much more likely to use them. I mean, for us, if the veggies aren't prepped, we don't eat the veggies, so it's just essential for us to do this. Now, just for a little meal inspiration, I'm gonna show you a couple ideas of things I made with the veggies from this prep. As I mentioned, the carrots I had planned for soup, so actually let's start with the soup. We love vegetable soup, even in summer, just because it is so easy to make and you can make a large quantity, perfect for meal prep. So I like to start just by sauteing some onions, and then of course I added in our carrots that we prepped, and then a bit of water and the Better Than Bouillon broth paste to make our veggie broth. And then you can add any veggies you like. I'm just adding some of the finely chopped broccoli and some frozen peas, but really any veggies will work here. And then for a little protein boost, I'm adding some cooked lentils. You could use home cooked or canned. And then I like to add some kind of a carb to it, so I'm adding some cooked orzo. I like to keep the orzo separate so that it doesn't go soggy, and then just add the soup on top when I'm ready to serve it. Another staple in our house is pasta, and I do like to add as many vegetables as possible into a store-bought pasta sauce just to make it a bit healthier. So let's go ahead and make that next. For this pasta sauce, I'm just starting again with some onion and then adding in some garlic and then our prepped mushrooms and broccoli and letting those saute a bit. And then I'm adding a little bit of water here because I'm going to be adding some red lentils for protein, and so the water will just help them cook. Then of course add your tomato sauce. You could use the homemade one. I just prefer a store-bought one because it is so much more convenient. And we like to add a little bit of soy milk for extra creaminess, but you could also use oat milk or something like cashew cream if you prefer, and then let that cook down for a bit. And another way I've found to use up a lot of veggies is in these baked egg cups. I'm using liquid just egg for these, but you could also probably use something like a mung bean batter instead. So I just started by sauteing some of the mushrooms and bell pepper with a little bit of red onion, and then I added those to my silicone muffin cups, and then just pour the just egg on top and pop those in the oven. Super easy. I actually have a whole bunch of recipes in this video here. I'll also link it down below. So if you are looking for more inspiration on how to use up those prepped veggies, check out that video and hopefully that'll be helpful, and I'll see you over there.